Hi, hello, welcome back. This is me, Devraj. This is Mysticism in the Body, and we're back with the Liber Al today. You can find the Liber Al online if you want to have a look, or I think you can download it from Kindle very, very cheap for like $1 or something. On the OTO website, as I've mentioned, you can find it, and you can find Crowley's original writing when he kind of downloaded this text back in 1904. And something I think really important to mention about Crowley here is and Liber Al is that it's important, I think, really, really important to make a fairly firm distinction between the channeled text and the channeler. Crowley channeled this text and then kind of sat on it for about 20 years, as I understand it. And then finally, sometime around the 1930s, it got kind of published in its original format. And it was obviously a big influence on his life, but it's important to understand this text is coming from somewhere else. It's not really coming just from Crowley's conscious mind. And I think, a lot of the associations that it's picked up are due to the fact that Crowley channeled it. Crowley was a kind of controversial character. I think actually he was a genuine mystic. It was simply that on some level he was also fairly content just to kind of take a lot of shit, or he somehow understood this as part of his own spiritual journey. And along with taking a lot of shit, he was happy to be a kind of notorious character and attract attention to himself in this way. I think had his life been a little bit different, or maybe if he hadn't got involved in Liber Al, hadn't gone to Egypt and channeled this text, maybe he would have become a quite different person and a sort of more what we consider to be bona fide, upright sort of mystic type. And there are problems in mysticism with the way that it tends to attract. The esoteric side tends to attract the kind of black wearing gothic kind of outsider. These people are kind of considered somewhere to be easy meat. And I will do an episode on demonology and psychology and understanding the interrelationships between this kind of gothic mindset and the attraction to demonic forces and their subconscious and what's going on. But without going too much into that just yet, I think it really is good, if you can, to dissociate Liber Al from Crowley as much as is realistic and just take the text as it stands. So in the first episode, I looked at the first 6 lines, and we can do those and just continue along, I think, to the end of line 14, because they're saying some deep stuff. Had the manifestation of Nuit, the unveiling of the company of heaven. Every man and every woman is a star. Every number is infinite, there is no difference. Help me, O warrior lord of Thebes, in my unveiling before the children of men. Be thou Hadit, my secret centre, my heart and my tongue. Behold, it is revealed by Iwas, the minister of Huapar Krat. The Habs is in the Hu, not the Hu in the Habs. Worship then the Habs, and behold my light shed over you. Let my servants be few and secret, they shall rule the many and the known. These are fools that men adore. Both their gods and their men are fools. Come forth, O children, under the stars, and take your fill of love. I am above you and in you. My ecstasy is in yours. My joy is to see your joy. Above the gemmed azure is the naked splendor of Nuit. She bends in ecstasy to kiss the secret ardors of Hadit. The winged globe, the starry blue are mine, O Ankh Afna Khonshu. Okay, so we looked at these first 6 lines. I won't go through all that stuff again in episode 1. Let's continue. Behold, it is revealed by Iwas, the minister of Huapar Krat. So that, it's talking, this is a channel text. This is not coming from the channeler. The Habs is in the Who, not the Who in the Habs. So this is kind of a way, I think this is a real cornerstone line to understanding Liber Al and what it's really about. So the Hubs is basically like the divine spark, within you. It's this, it's a traditional mystical concept, and the Who is like the kind of universe, the sky around you. So what I think the verse is trying to say here is that the divine spark is in the universe, not the universe in the divine spark. And then it continues, worship then the Hubs, and behold my light shed over you. So it's like, instead of kind of looking inside to find your inner self and worshiping that, directing yourself in that direction, worship the universe. And then my light, the universe's light, is shed over you. Remember, this is being written from the perspective of Nuit. So I think these two lines are very interesting. And remember, as I mentioned in the earlier videos, the basic perspective here is that Nuit is manifest creation, and Hadit, is like the tiniest imaginable pinprick of light experiencing that world. Now, in the traditional Western subjective understanding, we are born rather like this pinprick, born like a pinprick, experiencing this vast world. We don't have a sense of limited self. We don't have ideas about what's going on. We're just in this world. We're just completely in it. And it's like a vast mystery. And so Nuit is this vast mystery, and Hadit is like this pinprick of awareness that we were when we were born, experiencing it. And then this is going further, and that's kind of like trying to defragment the intellectual self that has built up over the years around this pinprick of awareness. These statements are trying to defragment that. I looked before, help me, O warrior lord of Thebes, this rational defensive mind. And now it's going still further, it's going still further, and it's saying, the pinprick of awareness, or the idea of this, that's in this as well, that's in this vast ocean of manifestation as well, that's inside Nuit. So this is a bit like Advaita Vedanta non-dualism. The traditional Christian perspective, is that we have this kind of inner self that's experiencing the world. You're born as this tiny point of awareness in this huge, great world. And then culture comes in and tells you you've got this inner experiencer and you've got a name and you are one person inside a big world. And then Advaita comes along and says, no, that you can't find an inner experiencer at all. It's good to look, but you won't be able to find it. It's like a flatland instead. There's no dualistic perspective. There's no observer and observed. So this is very similar to the non-dual perspective, but it's got a more ecstatic touch to it. It's not saying just be with things. It's like be in a state of ecstasy, like you're newborn. Every single moment is completely new and you're living in mystery. And something very, very interesting here, this is really in quite a strong contrast to, say, Rosicrucianism, which traditionally allies itself as being the mystical arm of Christ's teaching. And that love is something that's coming from the heart. You open your heart, you experience love for something, for another person. Love is this heart-centered thing that's coming from here. It's coming from the person. It's coming from the hubs here. And then what this is saying, it's more, it's talking more about like divine transcendent ecstasy. So by spinning things around, it's removing all the moral constructs that come with Christianity, and which, it's easy to kind of say moral constructs are a drag, and morality and ethics and stuff. But of course, they're also protective. They stop people from going around murdering each other or raping each other, just doing what they want, flat out exploiting each other. We have these moral constructs, we agree upon them. So that's another function of the Christian subjective perspective. So this is reversing that completely. And this I think these two lines really are, again, these two lines really are a core to understanding, how radical this text is. Because it's also similar to Buddhism, like as it's similar to Advaita, non-dual teaching, it's similar to Buddhism, kind of big sky Buddhism. But in both of those kind of schools, you've got this sense of being at peace, of being at one with the universe. Whereas here, it's more like you're in this divine, ecstatic state where pretty much anything is permitted. Let's continue along a little bit. Let my servants be few and secret. They shall rule the many and the known. So then, having bigged up this kind of, new way of experiencing life and all the freedom and ecstasy that it can potentially give you, it's saying there's only going to be a few people that understand that, and we're going to keep them secret, and they're going to rule the world. These are fools that men adore. Both their gods and their men are fools. So again, it's hammering into the Western, or really any kind of subjective perspective, identifying here the self, me, and having a god, a creator up there, or a kind of moral lawgiver up there. These people are fools, it's saying. This is super radical. Come forth, O children, under the stars, and take your fill of love. So it's saying, drop this whole Western subjective perspective, go in an ecstatic state into the world and take the love that you want. Take your fill of it, because it's Nuit giving it to you. I am above you and in you. My ecstasy is in yours. My joy is to see your joy. So again, it's saying this kind of non-dual perspective. You can't escape from me. I am you. I am every aspect of your being, including this sense you have of being an individual. So Nuit is like she's stripping away the whole egoic perspective, and she's saying, come and take your fill of love, because my ecstasy is in your ecstasy. There's no separation. My joy is, she says, my joy is to see your joy. Interesting. And I think that will be that kind of, they're creating a little bit of separation there. That'll be expanded upon later in the text. And then this little piece of verse: above the gemmed azure is the naked splendor of Nuit. So if you remember the first in this series, I looked at the star card. This is Nuit, and it's saying above the sky, behind what you can see in this kind of noumenal realm, exists Nuit, and she's pouring out the subconscious mind, and it hits the water and creates ripples. She's pouring out the 5 streams of sensory information. When they hit the ground, it splits into these 5 channels. She's the force behind manifestation. She's the noumena behind the phenomena. And this is the naked splendor of Nuit, above the gemmed sky, the gemmed azure. She bends in ecstasy to kiss the secret ardors of Hadit. Interesting. It could be a little bit like the struggle, the struggling warrior lord of Thebes, who essentially is Hadit, but with this rational mind and defensive mind that's grown around him, this armor that's grown around him. She's going to bend down just to kiss him, show him she's there. Well, that may not be what the secret ardors of Hadit refer to. If you're watching this and you have a better idea, please do leave it in the comments. The winged globe, the starry blue, are mine, O Ankh Afnar Khonshu. The winged globe is a kind of symbol of Hadit. This is the Stele 666 from the Egyptian museum that Crowley found with his wife, and this is the kind of arched figure of Nuit over the scene, and this is the winged globe of Hadit. So again, Nuit is saying, the winged globe, the starry blue, are mine, O Ankh Afnar Khonshu. He's the character for whom that stele was written for. And so again, like here, she's saying, this is all me, this is all mine, this is not something separate from me. So to sum up, what's really going on in these first 14 verses of Liber Al is this goddess Nuit, speaking through the channeling agency, is really trying to lay into your sense of self. She's like a kind of tantric Dakini, this sky goddess, and she's trying to get into your mind and just create change. She's trying to completely reorientate you to the world. She's saying, forget about this inner, having this inner self in here and this world out here and all of this stuff. That's not reality. It's totally, totally different. And then she's not kind of doing it in the same way that like Kali would do it, going in there and chopping off men's heads and wearing them around her belt and stuff. She's being more seductive. She's saying, help me, O warrior lord of Thebes, rational mind that has built up around this point. I want to unveil myself. There's this sense of seduction. You're going to see me naked. The idea for men of seeing women naked on a mystical level also kind of represents the idea of going behind the phenomenal world to the noumenal world. Worship me in the world itself. I am the force behind the world itself. Worship the world itself. And she's also, offering excitement. She's saying, come forth, O children under the stars, and take your fill of love. The moral laws apply to people who are trapped in this other old perspective, she's saying. You don't need to worry about that. So she's giving license to you to go out and do what you want, basically. So she's doing two things to this kind of Western egoic self. She's going in there and telling you that's not how it is. And then she's also offering stuff. She's promising. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation today. Do take a chance to read through these 14 verses yourself, and see what they're saying to you. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. If you're seeing this video not on the Mysticism and the Body channel on YouTube, have a look for that if you'd like to tune into more of my content, and you can subscribe. And I'll see you again soon for some more exciting content. Bye for now.